The heavy velvet curtains fall away as you enter a grand hall where shadows cling to the walls, whispering tales of ancient power and peculiar ceremony. Flickering torches cast a dim glow upon gilded thrones, each seat a silent witness to centuries of tradition, intrigue, and the curious dance of authority. Here, in these hallowed chambers, the very air hums with the echoes of titles, names bestowed not merely as markers of rank but as vessels of identity, culture, and often, an uncanny humor that defies the solemnity of monarchy. Imagine standing at the crossroads of history, where empires rose and fell, where the weight of a single epithet could shape the fate of nations. Royal titles, you see, are far more than formalities etched in parchment. They are living relics of a people's soul, revealing the strange interplay of power and pageantry that defines human governance. Each title is a fragment of a story, a curious blend of reverence and absurdity, that beckons the attentive observer to peer beneath the polished veneer of crown and scepter. In this sprawling panorama of monarchy, from frostbitten northern fortresses to sun-drenched desert palaces, the names of rulers carry a peculiar resonance. Some echo the divine, proclaiming rulers as gods or celestial beings, others conjure vivid images of beasts, elements, or sacred duties. Yet, it is within the oddities, the titles that stretch the imagination or raise an eyebrow in bemusement, that the true tapestry of royal tradition unfurls. Take, for instance, the notion that a king might be known as the Lord of the Bees, a title that at first sounds whimsical, even trivial. Yet beneath this seemingly quaint honorific lies a complex web of symbolism and local law, a testament to the monarch's role as protector not only of his people but of the natural world that sustains them. Or consider the King of the Cats, a designation that might provoke a smirk, but which in its own right reveals a culture's peculiar relationship to myth and animal lore. These titles, drawn from disparate corners of the globe, invite you to journey beyond the familiar forms of monarchy. They beckon you to witness how different societies have woven their histories, values, and even their humor into the very language of rulership. In some cultures, titles reflect cosmic order and divine right. In others, they highlight specific duties or eccentric traditions that have endured through the ages. The variety is staggering, the stories behind them even more so. It is important to understand that these epithets are not mere curiosities or relics of a bygone era. They are vivid expressions of identity, telling us how societies perceive their rulers and, by extension, themselves. In a world where power often wears the mask of solemnity, these titles reveal a more nuanced portrait, one that includes the playful, the peculiar, and the profoundly symbolic. You might wonder how such titles came to be, what forces shaped their creation and preservation. The answer lies in the fusion of history, culture, and language, a triad that transforms simple nomenclature into a living tradition. Monarchs, after all, did not emerge in a vacuum. Their titles were forged in the crucible of myth, religion, conquest, and the everyday lives of their subjects. Consider the ceremonial aspect. A royal title is often spoken aloud during rituals, processions, and state occasions, its cadence echoing through the corridors of power. Each syllable carries weight, each phrase a reminder of the ruler's place within a cosmic or social order. This performative element elevates the title from a mere label to a symbol of continuity, legitimacy, and sometimes, an invitation to awe or even amusement. Yet, the peculiarity of many royal titles also speaks to a humanizing impulse beneath the grandeur. To call someone Master of the Falcon or Keeper of the Black Rod is to acknowledge their role in a narrative larger than themselves, roles that blend the sacred and the mundane, the serious and the ceremonial. Such titles often hint at responsibilities that transcend the political, touching on stewardship, protection, or guardianship that define the monarch's relationship with both people and place. As you delve deeper into this world, you begin to see how titles function as keys to unlock hidden histories, each one a portal to forgotten customs, ancient beliefs, or peculiar local legends. Their strangeness is not mere accident but a signpost directing you toward the rich complexity of human culture and the myriad ways power has been imagined and enacted. The monarch's curious epithet is, in essence, a mirror reflecting the cultural mosaic from which it springs. From the austere to the extravagant, the sacred to the absurd, these titles map the boundaries of tradition and innovation, revealing the flexibility of monarchy as an institution and a symbol. They remind us that beneath every crown lies a story waiting to be told, a legacy of names that stretches beyond the throne room into the heart of society itself. In this vast and varied landscape of royal nomenclature, you will encounter 11 of the most extraordinary and unusual titles ever bestowed upon rulers. Each offers a glimpse into a world where language, culture, and power collide in fascinating and unexpected ways. Some titles evoke the grandeur of myth, others hint at peculiar duties or whimsical associations that defy conventional notions of kingship. As we embark on this journey through the annals of monarchy, prepare to be surprised, amused, and sometimes bewildered by the sheer inventiveness of human tradition. These titles are more than oddities, they are vibrant threads woven into the fabric of history, each one a testament to the enduring power of names and the cultures that breathe life into them. So, step closer and listen to the murmurs from these ancient halls. The legacy of names awaits, an invitation to explore how the peculiar and the profound coexist in the realm of kings and queens. Their most peculiar titles are not just footnotes in history, they are living echoes of a world where power was not only wielded but also wonderfully named. As you step further into the labyrinth of royal epithets, a darker, more enigmatic realm unfolds, one where rulers are cloaked not just in robes of silk and gold but in the shimmering veils of myth and celestial decree. Here, the titles bestowed upon monarchs transcend mere earthly dominion, elevating them to the status of divine intermediaries or cosmic sovereigns, their very names echoing with the thunder of ancient gods and the whispers of the heavens. Consider the Dragon King of Bhutan, a title that conjures images of serpentine power and mystical guardianship. The dragon, a creature both feared and revered across Asian traditions, symbolizes strength, wisdom, and the elemental forces of nature. To be named Dragon King is to embody these qualities, to rule not only over land and people but over the spiritual currents that flow through the realm. This title is not a mere flourish of poetic grandeur, it is a sacred mantle, linking the monarch to a lineage believed to be descended from celestial dragons themselves. The very utterance of this name invokes awe, binding the king to both his people and the cosmic order. Farther east, in the vast expanses of imperial China, the emperor was known as the Son of Heaven. This title is steeped in Confucian philosophy and ancient cosmology, positioning the ruler as the earthly representative of a divine mandate. The Son of Heaven is entrusted with maintaining harmony between heaven and earth, a delicate balance that ensures prosperity and order. It is a title heavy with responsibility, demanding not only political acumen but spiritual virtue. When the emperor ascended his throne, he was not merely a man crowned, he was the axis mundi, the pivotal point where the celestial and terrestrial realms converged. The power embedded in this title radiated through the empire, justifying rule and commanding loyalty through the sacred trust bestowed by the heavens. This intertwining of myth and monarchy is not confined to Asia. Across the world, ancient rulers adopted titles that linked them to divine or legendary origins, reinforcing their authority by invoking the supernatural. It was a deliberate fusion of power and belief, a recognition that human governance was inseparable from cosmic forces and ancestral spirits. The pharaoh, though more familiar to many, stands as a prime example of this phenomenon. The title itself is a symbol, a signifier of a ruler who was simultaneously king and god, mortal and immortal. Pharaohs were believed to be the living embodiment of Horus, the falcon-headed god, and upon death, they became one with Osiris, god of the afterlife. Their titles reflected this dual nature, a blending of political rulership and divine essence. To utter the name of a pharaoh was to invoke the mysteries of the Nile, the cycles of death and rebirth, and the eternal order that governed Egyptian life. Similarly, in the ancient kingdoms of Mesopotamia, kings bore titles like King of the Four Corners of the World, a grandiose claim that projected dominion over not just a land but the entire known universe. This title was steeped in cosmological symbolism, a reminder that the monarch's power was sanctioned by the gods and extended to the very edges of creation. It was a proclamation of universal sovereignty, wrapped in the language of myth and divine favor. These titles, rooted in ancient and mythological traditions, served a purpose far beyond ceremony or flattery. They were instruments of legitimacy, shrouding rulers in an aura of invincibility and sacred right. By aligning themselves with celestial beings or cosmic principles, monarchs anchored their power in something immutable and transcendent. Their epithets became a language of authority that ordinary mortals could recognize and respect, a bridge between the earthly and the divine. Yet, there was a deeper psychological and cultural function at play. In societies where the unknown loomed large and the forces of nature appeared capricious and overwhelming, royal titles offered a semblance of control and order. To call a king the Dragon King, or the Son of Heaven, was to assert that beneath the chaos of existence lay a structured cosmos, governed by rulers who were chosen and empowered by higher realities. These names became talismans of stability, symbols that the world was governed not by chance but by a divine plan. The monarch's curious epithet in these contexts reveals the profound human desire to connect the mundane with the mystical, to find meaning in the exercise of power. It unmasks the ancient belief that rulers were more than flesh and blood, they were vessels of cosmic will, embodiments of the sacred. This was evident in the rituals that accompanied the conferral and use of such titles. The crowning of a Son of Heaven was a solemn event, replete with rites that invoked the heavens and the earth, affirming the ruler's role as a mediator between worlds. Similarly, the Bhutanese Dragon King's enthronement involved ceremonies that called upon the protection and blessing of dragons and deities, intertwining political authority with spiritual guardianship. The legacy of these mythic titles endures, shadowing modern monarchies with an aura of ancient gravitas. Though the divine right of kings has faded in many parts of the world, the echoes of these grandiose epithets persist, reminding us of a time when power was inseparable from the sacred and when a ruler's name was a spell cast to bind heaven and earth. As you contemplate these titles, consider the layers of meaning embedded within them. They are not mere historical curiosities but windows into how civilizations conceived of leadership and legitimacy. Through them, we glimpse the human need to elevate governance beyond the mundane, to cloak authority in the sublime and the mysterious. Their most peculiar titles, born from myth and legend, thus stand as monuments to a world where kings and queens were not only rulers but living symbols of the universe's order. They beckon us to explore a time when power was a sacred flame, passed down through names that shimmered with celestial fire. And so, the story of royal titles continues to unfold, revealing how the ancient and the divine shaped the language of monarchy in ways both profound and unforgettable. As the veil of myth and divinity slowly lifts, you find yourself entering a realm where royal titles take on a curious and often whimsical character, names that might provoke a smile, a raised eyebrow, or even bewilderment. Here, the grandeur of monarchy mingles with local legends, eccentric customs, and peculiar historical circumstances, giving rise to epithets that defy the conventional image of regal solemnity. These are the oddly specific and bizarre titles that reveal the vibrant tapestry of human imagination woven into the fabric of monarchy. One such title, Lord of the Bees, conjures an image both quaint and enigmatic. Far from a mere poetic flourish, this title is rooted in a culture where the monarch's relationship with nature was integral to his role. Bees, with their industrious nature and vital role in pollination, symbolize community, productivity, and the delicate balance of ecosystems. To be the Lord of the Bees was to be entrusted not just with human subjects but with the stewardship of the natural world. This title, carried through generations, reflects a worldview where the king's dominion extended beyond stone walls and fertile fields into the buzzing heart of life itself. In a different corner of the world, the King of the Cats reigns as a title steeped in folklore and mystery. Far from being a mere eccentricity, this epithet arises from a complex interplay between local beliefs and the monarch's symbolic association with agility, independence, and watchfulness, traits admired and mythologized in the feline world. This title may have originated as a mark of respect for a ruler's cunning and protective nature or as a nod to a particular legend where cats played an essential role in safeguarding the kingdom. The monarch's curious epithet here invites us to explore how animal symbolism permeates royal nomenclature, transforming rulers into embodiments of qualities revered by their people. Then there is the Emperor of the Night, a title that dances on the edge of the mysterious and the poetic. Such a title might arise from a ruler's association with nocturnal power, the mastery over darkness, secrecy, or the unseen forces that govern the night. It evokes a realm where light and shadow intertwine, where the monarch's authority is exercised in realms beyond the visible. The Emperor of the Night is a figure cloaked in enigma, a sovereign whose reign commands both fear and fascination. This title reveals the allure of the unknown in royal identity, a reminder that power often dwells in shadows as much as in the spotlight. Equally intriguing is the King of the Whales, a title that transports us to the vast, untamed oceans. This epithet speaks of a monarch whose authority transcends land, embracing the mysteries of the deep and the creatures that inhabit it. It is a title that may have emerged from coastal cultures where the sea was both a source of sustenance and a realm of myth, where whales were revered as majestic beings linked to the spirit world. The king of the whales embodies the symbiosis between ruler and environment, a testament to the ways in which royal titles can reflect a people's intimate connection with their natural surroundings. These peculiar titles are not isolated curiosities, they form part of a global mosaic where monarchies absorb and reflect the idiosyncrasies of their cultures. Each name carries with it stories of local legends, historical events, or symbolic duties that transform the monarch from a distant figure of power into a living symbol of their people's identity and heritage. Take, for example, the Duke of the Hummingbirds, a title that might seem almost fanciful. Yet beneath this delicate image lies a profound respect for a tiny, vibrant creature whose energy and resilience captivate the imagination. Such a title may signal a ruler's patronage of nature or a specific historical anecdote where hummingbirds played a symbolic role. It exemplifies how royal nomenclature can embrace the unexpected, weaving the natural world and human leadership into a single narrative thread. Similarly, the Prince of the Lanterns evokes a realm of light and celebration, perhaps tied to festivals, ceremonies, or spiritual illumination. This title suggests a sovereign who guides his people through darkness with the gentle glow of hope and tradition. It is a poetic reminder that royal titles often encapsulate the symbolic roles monarchs play beyond governance, roles as cultural patrons, spiritual guides, or custodians of communal memory. The King of the Cats, the Lord of the Bees, and these other strangely specific titles reveal how monarchy can embrace playfulness and peculiarity without diminishing authority. Instead, they enrich the language of power, infusing it with local color, humor, and meaning that resonate deeply within their respective societies. Their most peculiar titles, far from undermining the dignity of monarchy, highlight the adaptability and creativity inherent in royal traditions. They demonstrate how rulers and their subjects negotiate identity through language, crafting epithets that speak to shared values, natural environments, and historical experiences. In doing so, these titles become living testaments to the diversity of human culture and the enduring fascination with kingship in all its forms. You might ask why such odd titles endure, passed down through generations, surviving the tides of political change and modernization. The answer lies in their power to connect people with their past, to anchor identity in something tangible and recognizable. These titles serve as cultural touchstones, reminders that monarchy is not merely about the exercise of power but about embodying the spirit of a people and their land. Moreover, these titles invite us to reconsider our assumptions about monarchy itself. They challenge the notion that royal power is always austere or distant, revealing instead a realm where humor, symbolism, and peculiar local customs intertwine with authority. The monarch's curious epithet becomes a window into the soul of a nation, a key to understanding how rulers are remembered and revered in ways that transcend mere political might. In this light, the eccentricity of titles like Lord of the Bees or Emperor of the Night is not a trivial oddity but a profound cultural expression. It underscores the human capacity to infuse the serious business of rulership with imagination and meaning, to transform names into narratives that endure across time. As you ponder these titles, you may find yourself drawn into the stories they hint at, the buzzing hives tended under royal watch, the silent prowling of feline guardians, the shimmering dance of lanterns in a twilight sky. Each title opens a door to a world where monarchy is not just a system of governance but a living, breathing tradition shaped by centuries of history, myth, and human creativity. Their most peculiar titles, in their oddity and charm, reveal the colorful tapestry of monarchy worldwide, a tapestry woven with threads of the strange and the sublime, the serious and the whimsical. They remind us that behind every crown lies a story, often unexpected, always fascinating, waiting to be uncovered. Beyond the realm of myth and the whimsical dance of peculiar names, there lies yet another dimension of royal titles, those that carve out specific duties, ceremonial roles, or symbolic guardianship cloaked in the language of tradition. These titles, often more functional than fantastical, reveal a different facet of monarchy, one where power is intertwined with ritual obligation and pageantry, where the monarch, or those close to them, become custodians of customs that blend solemnity with spectacle. Take, for instance, the title, Keeper of the Black Rod. At first glance, it might seem a cryptic or even ominous designation, yet this role carries centuries of ceremonial weight, especially within certain parliamentary traditions. The black rod, a staff of office, symbolizes authority and order within the legislative body, and its keeper serves as the monarch's personal envoy to the legislature. This title, steeped in ritual, reminds us that monarchy is not merely about ruling but also about maintaining the delicate balance between the crown and the institutions of governance. The keeper's role unfolds in pageants of power, processions and summons that echo the weight of history and the continuity of tradition. Similarly, the Master of the Falcon is a title that conjures images of falconry, a sport and art form historically reserved for the nobility. Yet beyond leisure, this title embodied a symbolic role. The monarch or noble entrusted with the care and training of falcons was seen as a guardian of a noble heritage, a keeper of a tradition that combined prestige with practical skill. Falconry, with its associations of nobility, hunting prowess, and connection to nature, became a metaphor for control and mastery, not just over animals but over one's realm. The Master of the Falcon thus carried a title that was part honorific, part functional, and wholly embedded in the ritual life surrounding monarchy. These titles, while sometimes confined to specific duties, reveal the theatrical dimension of royal power. They serve to dramatize authority, to transform governance into a spectacle that commands attention and respect. The monarch's curious epithet, in these instances, becomes a symbol of the pageantry that surrounds royalty, the costumes, ceremonies, and symbols that reinforce legitimacy through tradition. Consider also titles like Lord High Steward or Grand Chamberlain, which, while less peculiar in name, carry similarly precise responsibilities within the royal household or court. These roles, often hereditary, were integral to the smooth functioning of the monarchy, overseeing ceremonies, managing royal properties, or acting as intermediaries between the sovereign and subjects. Their titles, though formal, encapsulate centuries of evolving custom, demonstrating how monarchy adapts tradition into the machinery of governance. What makes these ceremonial titles particularly fascinating is their endurance. Many have survived political upheavals, revolutions, and reforms, persisting as threads of continuity in the fabric of statecraft. They remind us that monarchy is not a static institution but a living tradition, continually reinvented through ritual and symbolism. Moreover, these titles often blur the line between political power and cultural performance. The Keeper of the Black Rod, for example, is more than a functionary. The role is a living emblem of the crown's presence within democratic governance, a bridge between the ancient authority of monarchy and the modern state. In this way, the title embodies a paradox. It is at once ceremonial and vital, symbolic and practical. The Master of the Falcon, too, illustrates how royal titles can encode a complex relationship between ruler and environment. Falconry, once a necessary skill for hunting and survival, evolved into a noble art, and its stewardship became a symbol of grace, discipline, and control. The title reflects not just a duty but a cultivated identity, one that intertwines the personal with the political, the mundane with the majestic. In some cultures, titles denoting specific responsibilities extend beyond the court to encompass guardianship of sacred objects or traditions. For instance, the title, Guardian of the Sacred Flame, might designate a monarch's role as protector of a ceremonial fire, symbolizing eternal life or divine favor. These roles, while less common, underscore how titles serve as vessels of cultural memory, preserving rituals that define a society's spiritual and political landscape. The evolution of such titles often mirrors the transformation of monarchy itself. As absolute power waned and constitutional frameworks emerged, many of these roles shifted from positions of direct authority to ceremonial offices, their significance residing in symbolism rather than governance. Yet, despite these changes, the titles retain their power to evoke awe and respect, reminding onlookers of monarchy's deep roots in history and tradition. One cannot overlook the performative aspect embedded in these titles. The rituals, costumes, and ceremonies associated with roles like the Keeper of the Black Rod or Master of the Falcon transform the exercise of power into theater, where every gesture, word, and emblem serves to reinforce the mystique of monarchy. This pageantry is not mere frivolity, it is a language of authority, a way to communicate continuity and legitimacy across generations. Their most peculiar titles in this category reveal a monarchy that is as much about spectacle as substance, where tradition is both the stage and the script. They show us how royal power is enacted as a performance, a carefully choreographed display that commands loyalty and respect through symbolism and ceremony. As you reflect on these titles, consider the delicate balance they strike between duty and drama, between the practical and the poetic. They are reminders that monarchy, in its enduring form, is an institution that thrives on ritual, where power is not only wielded but also worn, performed, and perpetuated through tradition. These titles, etched in history and ceremony, invite us to appreciate the subtle interplay of culture and governance, the ways in which monarchy has evolved while remaining tethered to its ancestral roots. They stand as testament to the resilience of royal traditions, surviving through adaptation and the enduring human love for pageantry. In this light, the Keeper of the Black Rod and the Master of the Falcon become more than historical curiosities. They emerge as symbols of a monarchy that is both ancient and living, a realm where power is exercised through the eloquence of ceremony and the weight of symbolic responsibility. Their most peculiar titles thus continue to whisper the secrets of a world where tradition and authority are inseparable, and where every gesture is a link in the unbroken chain of legacy. Throughout the winding corridors of history, the peculiar and wondrous royal titles we have glimpsed reveal more than mere labels. They illuminate the very nature of monarchy itself, a complex interplay of power, culture, identity, and, intriguingly, playfulness. These titles, odd and magnificent in equal measure, serve as portals into the hearts of civilizations, reflecting how societies have imagined authority and shaped it into something both formidable and familiar. At their core, royal titles are instruments of power. They assert legitimacy, proclaim sovereignty, and command respect. Yet, as we have seen, they are also vessels of identity, markers that bind rulers to their people, their land, and their history. The Son of Heaven was not just a sovereign, he was the living embodiment of cosmic order. The Lord of the Bees was more than a monarch, he was a guardian of nature's delicate balance. These titles carry the weight of collective memory and cultural values, encapsulating the essence of what it means to rule within a particular context. But beyond their gravitas lies a surprising thread of playfulness and whimsy, a testament to the human penchant for blending the serious with the absurd, the sacred with the silly. The King of the Cats, or the Emperor of the Night, might strike modern ears as peculiar, even humorous, yet their existence reveals a profound cultural truth. Monarchy is not a monolith of stern authority but a living tradition shaped by the quirks, stories, and imaginations of its people. This duality, power and playfulness, imbues royal titles with a unique vitality. They are not static relics but dynamic expressions of cultural identity, evolving and adapting through time. As societies change, so too do the names they bestow upon their rulers, blending ancient symbolism with contemporary values, solemn ceremony with local color. The legacy of names, these royal epithets, thus becomes a tapestry woven with threads of history, myth, ritual, and humor. They remind us that monarchy, while often perceived through the lens of political power, is deeply enmeshed in culture and storytelling. Each title is a narrative, a story that carries forward the hopes, fears, and aspirations of a people. Moreover, these titles reveal the nuanced ways in which authority is performed and perceived. In many cases, the grandeur of a title serves to elevate a ruler above the ordinary, imbuing them with an aura that transcends mere human frailty. Yet, the quirks embedded in some titles also humanize monarchy, making it accessible, relatable, and sometimes even endearing. This delicate balance helps sustain the mystique of royalty while anchoring it in the lived realities of societies. As you reflect on these titles, it becomes clear that they are more than ceremonial flourishes. They are cultural artifacts that bear witness to the diversity of human governance. They challenge us to rethink monarchy not simply as a system of rule but as a cultural institution rich with symbolism, narrative, and identity. Their most peculiar titles, in their strangeness and beauty, invite us to appreciate the depth and complexity of royal traditions worldwide. They whisper of ancient ceremonies where dragons soared in the imaginations of kings, where bees symbolized communal harmony, and where the night itself bent to the will of an emperor. These epithets are echoes from a past where language was a tool of power and poetry, a bridge connecting ruler and ruled. In contemplating these names, we uncover lessons about the human condition, our need for symbols, stories, and rituals to make sense of authority and belonging. Royal titles become mirrors reflecting how societies envision themselves and their leaders, capturing the interplay between power and identity, continuity and change. Ultimately, the fascination with these unusual royal titles reminds us that history is not only written in grand battles or treaties but also in the names we give and the stories we tell. They beckon us to look beyond the surface of monarchy, to explore the rich cultural landscapes that give rise to such extraordinary epithets. Their most peculiar titles endure as a testament to the enduring human desire to name, to define, and to celebrate power in forms both majestic and mysterious. They invite us to celebrate the strange and wonderful diversity of royal customs, a legacy of names that continues to captivate and inspire. In the end, these royal epithets are more than words, they are living echoes of a world where power was not only wielded but also wonderfully named. And through them, we glimpse the enduring dance of tradition and imagination that defines the very essence of monarchy.